First Contact and the Galactic Crisis. The vast expanse of space stretched out before Dr. Elara Chen as she gazed through the reinforced viewport of the International Space Station Harmony. Her dark eyes, flecked with determination, reflected the twinkling stars beyond. At 35, she was the youngest astrophysicist to lead the station's cutting-edge research division, a testament to humanity's relentless pursuit of knowledge. Elara's reverie was abruptly interrupted by a series of urgent beeps from the main console. She floated gracefully across the module, her movements fluid in the microgravity environment. As she reached the console, her eyes widened in disbelief. "This can't be right," she muttered, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. The readings were unlike anything she had ever seen. A massive object was decelerating rapidly as it approached Earth's orbit. Its energy signature was off the charts, far beyond any known human or natural phenomenon. Elara's heart raced as she opened a channel to Mission Control. "Houston, this is ISS Harmony. We have a situation up here. You're going to want to see this." Within hours, the world below erupted into a frenzy of activity. Governments convened emergency meetings, militaries went on high alert, and civilians alternated between panic and fascination. As the mysterious object drew closer, its true nature became apparent. It was a ship, sleek and alien, its hull shimmering with an otherworldly iridescence. The ship came to a halt just beyond the moon's orbit, and for several tense days, the world held its collective breath. Then, without warning, a transmission crackled across every communication channel on Earth. "People of Earth," a voice resonated, its tones melodic yet laden with urgency. "We come seeking your aid. Our civilization, and indeed the fate of the galaxy, hangs in the balance." The aliens identified themselves as the Zarkonians, a spacefaring race from a distant sector of the Milky Way. Their ambassador, a tall, willowy being named Zalfar, was granted permission to land at a specially prepared site in neutral territory. Elara found herself part of the welcoming committee, her expertise in astrophysics and xenobiology making her an invaluable asset. As Zalfar emerged from their craft, Elara was struck by their ethereal beauty, skin that seemed to shimmer with bioluminescence, eyes that held the depth of ancient stars. "Dr. Chen," Zalfar addressed her directly, their voice a symphony of harmonics. "Your species' reputation for resourcefulness and determination has reached even our distant worlds. We hope it is not misplaced, for we face an enemy that threatens to consume all life in the galaxy." Over the next few days, Zalfar revealed the nature of the threat. They called it the Void Swarm, a vast, interconnected consciousness composed of billions of insectoid creatures. The swarm moved through space like a living storm, stripping worlds of resources and adding the vanquished to their ever-growing numbers. "We've fought them for centuries," Zalfar explained, their luminous eyes dimming with sorrow. "Many great civilizations have fallen. We are among the last to stand against them, but our strength wanes. Our scientists believe that the key to defeating the swarm lies in understanding the very fabric of space-time itself, a field in which your species has made remarkable strides." Elara listened, her mind racing with the implications. Humanity, barely having taken its first steps into the cosmic ocean, was being asked to stand against a threat of galactic proportions. The sheer audacity of it was overwhelming. As the gravity of the situation sank in, world leaders debated furiously. Some advocated for isolation, arguing that humanity should focus on its own defense. Others pushed for full cooperation with the Zarkonians, seeing an opportunity to catapult human technology and influence to unprecedented levels. In the end, it was not the politicians who decided, but the people. Across the globe, a groundswell of support emerged for joining the fight. Humans, with their indomitable spirit and history of overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds, refused to stand idly by while the galaxy burned. Elara found herself at the forefront of this new interstellar alliance. Her team was tasked with integrating human theoretical physics with Zarkonian technology, searching for weaknesses in the Void Swarm's seemingly impenetrable defenses. Months passed in a blur of feverish activity. Space programs worldwide were revolutionized overnight as Zarkonian knowledge poured in. The first human-crewed interstellar ships were hastily constructed, merging the best of both species' technologies. As Earth prepared for war, Ilara couldn't help but marvel at the transformation. Humanity, once divided by borders and ideologies, now stood united against a common threat. The streets buzzed with a mix of fear and excitement as people from all walks of life volunteered for the war effort. But time was running short. Long-range sensors, enhanced by Zarkonian tech, detected the first tendrils of the void swarm entering the outskirts of the solar system. The enemy that had haunted Zalfar's people for generations was now at humanity's doorstep. In a historic address to the United Nations, the Secretary-General's words echoed across the planet. Today, we face the greatest challenge in the history of our species, but we do not face it alone. We stand shoulder to shoulder with our new allies, ready to defend not just our world, but all worlds. The road ahead will be fraught with danger, but we will not falter. For in our hearts burns the inextinguishable flame of human courage and ingenuity. As the speech concluded, Ilara stood on the launch pad, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. She was to lead a joint human-Zarkonian science team aboard the flagship of Earth's newborn fleet. As she looked up at the massive vessel, gleaming in the sunlight, a name emblazoned on its hull caught her eye: HFY Prometheus. Ilara couldn't help but smile at the appropriateness. Like the mythical Titan who stole fire from the gods to give to humanity, they were about to embark on a journey that would forever change the course of human history. As she boarded the ship, Ilara took one last look at the blue marble that was her home. Whatever the outcome of this war, she knew that humanity would never be the same. They were no longer alone in the universe, and they were about to prove that sometimes the youngest species could be the boldest. The HFY Prometheus roared to life, its engines a testament to the fusion of human ambition and alien wisdom. As it broke free from Earth's gravity, Ilara whispered a quiet promise to the planet below: "We'll make you proud." With a flash of light that outshone the stars, the Prometheus and its fleet jumped into the unknown, ready to face the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. The battle for survival had begun, and humanity was determined to show the cosmos what they were made of. The battle for survival. The vastness of space stretched before that HFY Prometheus, a canvas of infinite black punctuated by the cold light of distant stars. Dr. Ilara Chen stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the fleet's position relative to the advancing void swarm. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the tension that thrummed through the ship. Lieutenant Ravi Sharma, the ship's tactical officer, responded promptly. "The swarm's outer tendrils have breached the Kuiper belt, Doctor. At their current speed, they'll reach Mars orbit in approximately 72 hours. Ilara nodded grimly. The void swarm moved faster than they had anticipated, a writhing mass of insectoid ships that seemed to devour the very starlight around them. She turned to Zalfar, who stood silently observing the display, their bioluminescent skin pulsing with an anxious rhythm. "We're running out of time," Ilara said. "How did you people hold them off for so long?" Zalfar's multifaceted eyes shimmered with a mix of sorrow and determination. "We didn't just hold them off, Dr. Chen. We've been running, always one step ahead of annihilation. But now, with your help, we make our stand." The next hours were a flurry of activity as the combined human-Zarkonian fleet made final preparations. The plan was audacious: use the gravity wells of the gas giants to slingshot smaller, faster ships into the heart of the swarm, disrupting its hive-mind coordination while the larger vessels engaged the bulk of its forces. As the fleet took up positions around Jupiter, Ilara couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. The ships around her were a testament to human ingenuity and adaptability. In mere months, they had integrated Zarkonian technology with their own, creating vessels that could dance between the stars. The first wave of the attack went better than anyone dared hope. Human pilots, with their unconventional tactics and daredevil maneuvers, caught the swarm off guard. Explosions blossomed in the void as swaths of the enemy forces were cut down. But the jubilation was short-lived. The void swarm, initially reeling from the assault, began to adapt with terrifying speed. Its ships started mimicking the erratic patterns of the human fighters, negating their advantage. "They're learning," Zalthar observed, their voice tinged with awe and fear. "Faster than we've ever seen before." Ilara watched in horror as the tide of battle turned. Human and Zarkonian ships alike were being overwhelmed, their destruction marked by brief, silent flares in the blackness of space. "We need to fall back," Lieutenant Sharma urged. "Regroup and—" His words were cut short as the ship rocked violently. Alarms blared throughout the Prometheus as damage reports flooded in. "Hull breach on decks 3 through 5, a crew member shouted. "We've lost our starboard engines." Ilara gripped the command console, her mind racing. They couldn't retreat. Earth was counting on them. But staying meant certain death. As she looked around at the faces of her crew, human and Zarkonian alike, she saw the same mix of fear and resolve that she felt. It was in that moment of desperation that inspiration struck. Ilara's eyes widened as she turned to Zalthar. "The swarm, it's all connected, right? Like a hive mind." Zalthar nodded. "Yes, but we've never found a way to disrupt it effectively." "What if we're thinking about this all wrong?" Ilara said, her words coming faster as the idea took shape. "We've been trying to overpower it, but what if we could overwhelm it with information instead?" She turned to the communications officer. "Lieutenant, I need you to broadcast every piece of data we have. Star charts, mathematical theorems, Shakespeare, cat videos, everything, directly at the swarm. Full spectrum, maximum power." The bridge crew looked at her in confusion, but Zalfar's eyes lit up with understanding. Of course, their hive mind processes information collectively. If we flood it with enough diverse data, we might just crash their system, Ilara finished. As the wounded Prometheus limped away from the main battle, it began broadcasting. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the movements of the swarm began to falter. Ships collided with one another, their coordinated attacks degenerating into chaos. "It's working," Sharma exclaimed. "The swarm is losing cohesion." Ilara allowed herself a moment of hope, but she knew they weren't out of danger yet. "Signal the fleet. Tell them to concentrate fire on the largest clusters. We need to press our advantage while we have it." The battle raged on, but the tide had turned. Without their perfect coordination, the individual ships of the swarm were no match for the combined might of humanity and the Zarkonians. Hours later, as the last remnants of the void swarm were being mopped up, Ilara stood before the viewport, watching the dance of ships against a starry backdrop. They had won, but at a terrible cost. The fleet was in tatters, and countless lives had been lost. Zalthar approached, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You did it, Dr. Chen. You found the weakness we've been searching for over centuries." Ilara shook her head. "We did it. All of us together. But this was just one battle. The main body of the swarm is still out there." "Yes," Zalthar agreed, "but now we have hope. And if there's one thing I've learned about humans, it's that hope makes you unstoppable." As the Prometheus limped back towards Earth, Ilara knew that the real work was just beginning. They had to prepare for the next wave, to fortify their defenses, and to take the fight to the enemy. But they had proven something vital, that humanity, with its creativity, adaptability, and indomitable spirit, had earned its place among the stars. The ship's intercom crackled to life, and Ilara heard the voice of the fleet admiral addressing all survivors. "To all those who fought bravely today, I say this. We have faced the darkness, and we did not blink. We have shown the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into the night. We will fight, we will persevere, and we will win." As cheers erupted throughout the ship, Ilara allowed herself a small smile. The road ahead would be long and fraught with danger, but for the first time since the Zarkonians arrived with their dire warnings, she felt a glimmer of true hope. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and they had done so not with timidity, but with the bold stride of a species ready to shape its own destiny. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter as the battered fleet made its way home, carrying with them the promise of a future where humanity stood tall among the cosmic powers. The battle for survival had been won, but the war for the galaxy was just beginning. Triumph of the human spirit. The Earth hung like a blue jewel in the viewport of the newly christened ISS Nova, humanity's most advanced warship. Dr. Elara Chen stood on the bridge, her posture rigid with determination as she addressed the assembled crew, a mix of humans and Zarkonians, united in purpose. 6 months ago, we faced annihilation, Elara began, her voice carrying across the hushed deck. We stood at the precipice, staring into the abyss of extinction, but we didn't fall. We fought back, and we survived. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. The memory of that first, desperate battle was still fresh in everyone's minds. Now, Elara continued, her eyes blazing with intensity, we take the fight to them. Operation Lightbringer begins today. We will drive the void swarm from our galaxy, or we will die trying. As the Nova and its accompanying fleet prepared to jump to light speed, Elara couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. In the months following their initial victory, Earth had become a crucible of innovation. The combined intellects of humanity and the Zarkonians had produced technological leaps that would have taken decades under normal circumstances. The Nova itself was a testament to this progress. Its hull bristled with weapons that could tear holes in the fabric of space-time. Its engines, powered by harnessed dark energy, could cross vast interstellar distances in the blink of an eye. But its true power lay in its central core, a quantum computer that could process and broadcast data at speeds that dwarfed anything the Void Swarm had encountered before. As the fleet jumped into the unknown, Elara's mind drifted to the friends and colleagues left behind. Earth was far from defenseless. A planetary shield, reverse-engineered from Zarkonian technology, now encased the entire planet. But she knew that if they failed here, no shield would save humanity from the relentless hunger of the swarm. Days of tense travel passed before they reached their destination, a massive nebula on the fringes of the Milky Way, where long-range scans had detected the heart of the swarm's forces. Contact. Lieutenant Sharma's voice cut through the silence. Multiple signatures emerging from the nebula. It's, by the stars, it's bigger than we thought. The view screen filled with a nightmarish sight. Millions upon millions of swarm ships poured out of the nebula, their chitinous hulls reflecting the eerie light of newborn stars. At the center of the hordes floated something new, a structure the size of a small moon, pulsating with malevolent energy. That must be their central hive, Zalthar observed, their bioluminescence flickering rapidly. We've never seen anything like it before. Elara's mind raced. Their plan had been to disrupt the swarm's communication as they had before, but on a larger scale. But faced with this unprecedented threat, she realized they needed something more. All ships, initiate Protocol Omega, she commanded, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her insides. And get me a direct channel to that hive structure. As the fleet engaged the outer defenses of the swarm, the Nova pushed forward, protected by a sphere of distorted space-time that deflected incoming attacks. Elara stood before the communication array, took a deep breath, and began to speak. Void Swarm, she said, her words carried across the vacuum by tight beam transmission. I am Dr. Elara Chen of Earth. We know you can understand us. We've seen how you learn, how you adapt. So listen carefully. The battle raged around them, but for a moment, it seemed as if the universe held its breath. We offer you a choice, Elara continued. Coexistence or annihilation. Not yours, ours, both of our species, because make no mistake, we will not stop fighting. If you destroy us, others will rise. You will never know peace. She paused, watching as the swarm's attacks seemed to falter, if only for a moment. But it doesn't have to be this way. You consume worlds to grow, to learn. We can show you another path. Join us. Let us teach you. Together, we could unlock the secrets of the universe itself. For a long, tense moment, there was no response. Then suddenly, a piercing screech filled the communication channels. It modulated, shifting into something almost recognizable as language. You offer knowledge. The voice was a chorus of millions, speaking as one. Yes, Elara replied, her heart pounding. All of it, freely given. What followed was beyond anything Elara could have imagined. The Nova's quantum core lit up like a miniature sun as it began to exchange data with the swarm's hive mind. Gigayears of accumulated knowledge from both humanity and the Zarkonians flowed outward, while the collective experiences of the swarm poured in. Around them, the battle gradually ceased as more and more of the swarm turned their attention to this unprecedented exchange. Elara watched in awe as the hive structure began to transform, its surface rippling and reshaping as new information was processed and integrated. Hours passed, then days. The fleet held position, tense but hopeful. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the exchange slowed to a trickle. The hive spoke again, its voice now a harmonious blend of tones. We understand. Consumption is not the only path to growth. You have shown us another way. Elara let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Then you'll stop your expansion. You'll leave peaceful worlds alone. Yes, came the reply. We will explore. We will learn. We will create. As the gravity of what had just occurred sank in, cheers erupted throughout the fleet. Humanity and the Zarkonians had not just survived, they had fundamentally changed the nature of their greatest enemy. In the weeks that followed, a new galactic order began to take shape. The Void Swarm, now calling itself the Harmony Collective, began to assist in rebuilding the worlds it had once ravaged. Knowledge flowed freely between species, ushering in an unprecedented era of growth and discovery. Standing once again before the viewport of the Nova, Elara watched as ships of all shapes and sizes, human, Zarkonian, and former swarm, worked together to construct a massive space station. It would serve as a neutral ground, a place where all species could meet, trade, and learn from one another. Zalthar joined her, their luminescence glowing with contentment. When we first came to Earth, we hoped to find allies in our fight for survival. Instead, we found the key to peace for the entire galaxy. Elara smiled, thinking of the long journey that had brought them to this point. That's humanity for you. We're too stubborn to accept no-win scenarios. We'll always find another way. As the station took shape before them, Elara felt a profound sense of pride and hope. Humanity had not only secured its place among the stars, it had reshaped the very nature of galactic civilization. The future stretched out before them, bright with possibility. So, Zalthar said, a hint of excitement in their harmonious voice, what's next? Elara's eyes twinkled with the reflection of distant stars. Well, there's still a whole universe out there to explore, and something tells me we're just getting started. As the Nova's engines hummed to life, preparing to embark on a new journey of discovery, Elara knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, humans, Zarkonians, and their new allies. The human spirit, with its boundless creativity and indomitable will, had triumphed not through force, but through understanding and cooperation. The stars beckoned and humanity answered, ready to write the next chapter in their cosmic adventure.